ladies and gentlemen, Diane Swaine and I are back today. We are helping you. This is Skinny Revolution's journey of you losing weight and feeling great about yourself. We've been inundated with emails, phone calls, messages via social media of tips of how to combat certain ways that can influence you and stop you from losing weight. And one of the topics we're going to talk about today is 10 steps to stop late night snacking, because we all know that we can have such willpower during the day, and come 6-7 o'clock once you put the kids to bed or once you come home from work, that is when we desire sweet, sugary, fatty foods, or when we want to pick our phone up to call that takeaway.
Okay, so many people find themselves eating late at night even when they're not hungry at all. Nighttime eating can cause you to eat more calories than you actually need and obviously lead to weight gain. The first one is to try and identify the cause. So some people eat most of their food late in the evening or during the night. To change the habit, identify the cause of the problem. Night snacking could be a result of overly restricted your intake in the daytime, which is very common, so it leaves you feeling really hungry at night. And it also can be caused by boredom as well, we all know. So we get bored and we start eating. Nighttime eating has also been linked to some eating disorders as well, including binge eating disorder, which we're going to talk about in later episodes. So people use food to curb emotions such as sadness and anger, frustration, loneliness, etc. when they're not actually hungry at all. And I think a lot of that can come at night specifically, particularly people, that are living on their own and feel super lonely at night when things are closed, or perhaps you can't get in touch with your friends, etc. Binge eaters at night also tend to have very large amounts in one sitting because they lose control of what they're eating. On the other hand, people with nighttime eating syndrome tend to graze throughout the evening and wake up during the night as well, consuming 25% of their actual overall daily intake of calories. Both conditions have been linked to obesity, depression and trouble sleeping. The second point is to try and identify your triggers. This is really important, and it's something we'll talk about in later episodes as well. So we're looking for a pattern of events that might usually set off your eating behaviour. Think about what's led up to you eating at night. Think about the use of the food that you're using and eating when you're not actually hungry. With nighttime eating syndrome, nighttime snacking, that's the posh word for it, your entire eating pattern may be delayed due to your lack of daytime hunger. So keeping a food and mood diary is really, really important, and the reason it's mood, not just what you're eating, is so you can actually look at the way you're feeling and the emotions that you're getting, and then what you're actually eating on. So some people might eat on loneliness, some people might eat on anger, frustration, heartache. So when you're keeping a journal of your food, it's super important to put your mood alongside that as well, so you can start to see a pattern to what you're actually doing. Tracking what you're eating, exercise habits, etc. with your feelings will help identify those and look towards breaking negative cycles of behaviour. Okay, point 3 is to use a routine. If you're overeating because you're not eating enough during the day, then you get yourself into a routine. Have a structure to what you're eating, when you're eating it and when you're sleeping, and get those times set. They will help you spread your food intake throughout the day so that when you come to night time, you're less likely to be hungry. Good sleep is vital when it comes to managing your food intake and your weight. Sleep is absolutely essential to lots of things, overall well-being, but particularly dietary habits as well. And I think sleep is one episode all of its own that Ampika and I are going to cover. Okay, point 4 is to plan your meals. So planning your meals using either a piece of paper or a meal planner, something you can knock up on your laptop or something and then just keep reprinting it off, is a very simple and cheap way to do it. So planning your meals and eating healthy snacks can reduce the chances that you will eat on impulse or choose unhealthy foods. Having a meal plan can also reduce anxiety about how much you are eating and also help you spread against your food intake through the day. Point 5 is seek emotional support. If you think you may have challenges with nighttime eating or with binge eating, then you may want to seek professional help and talk to a counsellor or an eating disorder specialist. Some counsellors are eating disorder specialists, but they don't necessarily go hand in hand. But a counsellor for sure will help you look at your bad habits and how they are connected to food and the emotions that you actually eat on. The counsellor will be very skilled in doing that. An eating disorder expert will be generally an expert particularly in that one field and obviously can be hugely helpful. And if you want connections to that, obviously just call in to Skinny and we'll help you with that. Okay, creating an emotional support system, emotional support network will also help you to find ways to manage those negative emotions which otherwise might lead to you going to the fridge. It's as simple as that. Okay, so it's like with any buddy, with any mentor, you know, people in AA, people in DA, all those sorts of organisations. If you've got a buddy or a mentor, it doesn't have to be anything official. It can be a really close friend, somebody that you can turn to at any time of the day or night. That will stop you going to the fridge because that's your main objective at night. Okay. Point 6 is to de-stress. So anxiety and stress are two of the most common reasons why people tend to eat when they're not actually hungry. It's a massive one for a lot of people, this, you know. They feel really anxious and they feel stressed, and the first thing they do is they reach for the fridge, they borrow chocolate in it, whatever it might be, to satisfy and to try and calm themselves down. So anxiety and stress, we appreciate, is a big one. So if you eat when you're anxious or stressed, try to find another way to let go of those negative and emotional feelings and try to relax. Lots of ways that we're talking about this in each episode and also on Ampika's YouTube as well, is how to meditate, how to look after yourself, how to do lots of self-care just to de-stress. So walks with your dogs, or your friend's dog if you haven't got a dog. Borrow a dog. I borrow Ampika's 3. Lots of baths, exercise, anything that you know for you will calm you down and de-stress you. Okay. Point 7 is to eat regularly throughout the day. A little bit covering what we said before. Overeating at night links to erratic eating patterns. Patterns of behaviour are learnt. All patterns of behaviour are learnt. So if we start to eat through the night, the chances are we are more likely to eat through the night, the following week, etc., etc. So to eat regularly throughout the day and to try and get your behavioural patterns set in the day means you're less likely to snack at night. So eating at planned intervals throughout the day can help keep also your blood sugar stable. And when your blood sugar is stable, then you are less likely to obviously plummet, wake up, or before you go to bed, get that huge desire for sugar. You might feel sick. You think you feel sick for other reasons. You generally feel sick because obviously you've taken a huge drop in sugar, and then the automatic response is, well, I'll go and get a chocolate bar or a cookie or something like that and raise those sugar levels. And that's the wrong thing to do. We know that. It's a very quick hit, that, just to satisfy something. It's much, if you are in the day and you hit that sugar drop, something like a banana or something like that, nut, something that's sustainable carbs throughout the day. Bananas are really, really rich in slow release carbs and potassium, much better than reaching for chocolate bar. And it's really sweet, isn't it? I love bananas. Eating less than 3 times a day is thought to reduce your ability to control your appetite and food choices, as we've discussed before. Okay, point 8, include protein at every meal. This is really important when you can. Including protein at every meal may help, and has really been proven to curb your hunger, and it's because the protein that we take in moves a lot slower through our system, so we feel a lot fuller for longer. So high protein, as much as we can take within our diet, is a good way to go. Examples of high protein: eggs, almonds, chicken breasts, oats, cottage cheese, all those sorts of things. Write into us at Skinny or call us and we'll give you a full list of all sorts of things like that you should be putting in your diet. Okay, point 9, don't keep junk food in the house. I know we've covered this before, but we're all tempted. Temptation is a massive thing from the days of Adam and Eve, and if it's in there, we're gonna be tempted by it. So if you're prone to eating high fat, high sugar junk food, particularly at night, just get it out of the house. Get rid of it so you know it's nowhere to be found. If the snacks aren't there, then you can't get hold of them. Instead, fill your house with healthy food that you enjoy, healthy alternatives. Make sure you do your shop and they're in there. And if you need something like that, then you've got a healthy option to turn to. Okay, point 10 is to distract yourself. If you are preoccupied with thoughts of food because you're bored, then find something else that you enjoy doing. We all get bored in our lives from time to time. So the key is distraction. It's distraction from your thoughts, your triggers that are making you feel that you need something sugary to eat before you go to bed, or at those key times when you know you shouldn't be. Distract yourself with something else.
So thank you very much, Diane, for sharing all those useful tips. I know myself, when I was weighing in at just over 18 stone, the biggest thing for me was not wanting to get to that fridge at night. So I'd have a set time where I just would not be downstairs. I'd be in my bedroom, and I know that's really difficult, and people have got children and they've got animals and they've got partners, but I had to have boundaries, otherwise I knew that I was not going to get on the road to getting where I wanted to be in terms of weight loss. So I did have snacks in the house. I had Shapers chocolate bars that had 99 calories in. I've got my low-fat hot chocolate. I did have low-fat mousses from Marks and Spencer's. Low-fat yogurts. I used to sometimes, if I really wanted to indulge, chop up a load of fruit with some yogurt, so I felt like I was having a treat. But most of the time, I knew when I wanted to binge, I wasn't even enjoying the food, because when you sit down and eat every morsel of food and taste it and enjoy it, the nighttime binges that I was having, I was literally just grabbing whatever I could just to satisfy something that I couldn't satisfy, because it was all linked to emotional and how I felt. So there's got to be boundaries, and there's got to be times where you do not go in the fridge or in the kitchen or around where food is. So there's got to be a cut-off point. You've got to be strict with yourself. Otherwise, if there is no boundaries, there is no set times, and you don't want to change or break any habits, your weight will stay the same. So it's got to be baby footsteps, and even sometimes in 7 nights, you may only be able to have the motivation, the strength for 4 nights, and you should be proud of yourself. The other 3 nights, things might go right out the window, but if you can do 4 nights, it just shows that the more and more you start to break old habits and form new ones, trust me, you will be on the road to success. So I hope those 10 top tips will resonate with you. And even if you only get a chance to do 3 of them this week, just start to think about it. Do a journal, internalize yourself, how you're feeling, write down how you're feeling. Because I know when I feel sad or low, I will go to food. I know if someone's upset me, I will go to food. I know what my trigger points are now. So I do have things that distract myself. I'll put my headset on, I'll listen to meditation, I'll go on YouTube, I'll find something out that I want to do some research on, I will lie in bed, I'll listen to a podcast, I'll go and put my favourite film on, I'll go and read, I will do something, I'll call up one of my best girlfriends, literally drain the life out of her, but I will do something to distract myself from going to that instant gratification of food, because I know once I start to binge, I'm not even enjoying the food. All I'm doing is creating old habits, and then those old habits just end up piling the weight back on.
And I was just thinking, actually, because these are building up, we've got a series of episodes for you. When you're really struggling at night, you can always go on to the Skinny Revolution members and just keep re-watching Pika and I talking to you as they were there with you in your front room. So hopefully that'll be added support for you.
Okay, thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you next week.